Welcome to a new video! Today I'm going to share with you my Dino deck profile. But before we jump right into the video itself, I'm going to remind you that if you want to see more videos like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It's helped out a ton. Let me know in the comments down below if there are some particular changes that you will make for the list itself, or some particular questions you have, and give a like to the video if you enjoyed it. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video itself. Alright, so jumping right into the list itself, I'm going to start things off with the babies, which are going to be 2 copies of Archosaur, 3 copies of Baby Ceratosaurus, and 1 copy of Petit Pteranodon. I think this is a pretty standard baby lineup, which I think need a little bit of explanation for people who don't know how this deck works, but for the most part, it's very self-explanatory. So Petit Pteranodon is basically, or should I say, these 4 are the babies that you want to destroy with your own card effects, because they will allow you to special summon dinosaurs from your deck. In the case of Petit Pteranodon, we'll summon for you level 4 or higher, but will lock you to not attack with monsters for the turn, unfortunately, which is kind of like very annoying, but you are using this for going first regardless, so it's like not the end of the world. But mostly you do want to summon your smaller guys with this guy, which summon your level 4 or lowers and not lock you to anything, because your lower level guys are a little bit the better ones, because this can summon another copy of himself, so that is very important. So these are your babies that you're trying to destroy. In the case of Archosaur, this is basically destroying to you a baby, or, you know, any dino from your hand or field except himself, and then add to your hand double evolution pill. It can add also some weird type of monsters, I don't really understand that, but for the point is, when it's normal special summon, you add to yourself pop a card, or pop a dino, and add to yourself a double evolution pill. That's mostly its purpose. Now we're going to move into our starters of the deck, which we have 6 of them, which is 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor, and 3 copies of Scrap Raptor, with also the 1 copy of Scrap Chimera. Now, some people like to run 2 copies of Scrap Raptor, some people like to run 3. I'm from the people who like to run 3 because of one reason. I don't have Prosperity, so I don't really have the ability to run this card in my, or should I say, see this card in my hand, and this is actually a very good starter. Sometimes, like, Soul Eating Oviraptor is not a better starter, because if you open up with Soul Eating Oviraptor and a Lost World and nothing else, this is a really bad combo. It's like one of the worst combos that you can do. But if you open up with Scrap Raptor and Lost World, you actually have a very good combo, regardless, so that's why I really like Scrap Raptor. Scrap Raptor could be a little bit of dead if you draw into this, but I want to at least, like, maybe see one of these in my hand, because one thing I would say is, like, if you see both of these copies in your hand, which was one of the problems when you run this at 2, if you see 2 copies in your hand when you run this at 2, your deck is, or should I say, the combo is dead. But now that we run 3, the chances of seeing all 3 in your hand is very low, and you're also going to see this a little bit more consistently, and if you draw into one of these, the combo is not dead. So one of the biggest problems of that is, like, if you draw into one of the copies, sometimes the combo is dead. But now we need to draw into 2 copies for the combo to be dead. But sometimes that's still fine. So that's why I really like 3 Scrap Raptor. Scrap Chimera basically is the card that you search with this. So you give yourself the additional normal summon, you normal summon this summon this back, and then you go into your Scrap Wyvern, and yada, the normal shenanigans with scraps. Then, for our other dinos, we have 5 more, which is double UCT, 1 copy of Pranky Boy, 1 copy of Mr. Dinosaurus, and then the 1 copy of Giant Rex to round off the dinos. UCT doesn't really need any introductions. It's basically a Book of Moon, and your best boss monster of the archetype is absolutely amazing. Then we have the Prankotops, which is the other option for double evolution pill, or just in general, if you draw into it, is another interruption. Mr. Dinosaurus, this card is at 1. I know in Master Duel is at 3, which we'll talk about that, but this in the TCG is at 1, so it's really important to see it, but technically you do still have additional 6 copies of it with the 3 Soul Eating Oviraptor and Fossil Dig, so it's not the end of the world. It just means that, like, we do need to run some cards to maybe, like, put him back, like, Omega, which we'll get into that, but the point is like, it's not really that, like, super crucial to still have Mr. Dinosaurus. It's just really good to see this once, at least, in your game. If you're able to recycle it, that's amazing, but if you're not and you still have a follow-up, that's still completely fine. Giant Rex is because if you banish it, you just get it back. That's kind of like the entire purpose of the card still stayed the same. And then for the last few monsters, we have the Hand Traps plus Artifact Scythe, which run 1 Artifact Scythe, obviously, 2 copies of Nibiru, 2 copies of Ash Blossom, and 2 copies of Effect Veiler. For these particular Hand Traps, I couldn't decide specifically on the set that I wanted, so I just decided to run 2, 2, and 2, rather than 3 of this, and no Ash, because I felt like this format, I don't really know right now what specifically is the best, and also I heard from people that have been saying that it's a little bit more diverse because of the ban list and just in general, so I decided to go with 2, 2, and 2 just to give myself a little bit more options. There's also, of course, Infinite Permanence, but we'll get to that card. Now, in the case of Artifact Scythe, people are probably going to ask me, why do I run Artifact Scythe? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. This is basically allowing me to turn some of my worst combos into at least giving me 1 turn to then OTK my opponent in the next one. So that's why I really like Artifact Scythe as a one-off card. This could be Scrap Golem if you want to go into that, but the reason why I don't like Scrap Golem now is because we did lose the Simorgh link and all that stuff, and it's also just if you run the Golem, it's also require you to run additional more bricks if you want to get more locks. If you don't want to get more locks, you can just maybe run that and giving you another Monster Reborn-like effect, which is good, but I'd rather get a card that just say to my opponent, no. And saying to my opponent, no, is really, really good, and I'm actually still surprised that this card is legal, but Konami probably want this around because of Adventurer tokens, because Phantom Knights can make this with Adventurer tokens, and they want the engine to sell. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why I run Artifact Scythe. It's just a good card. It's allowing me to give myself additional turn if I brick, and if I'm able to end up with a good combo. At least enough to bring it out. But that does it for the main deck monsters. Now we'll move on into the spells. And for the spells, we start with the Dino spells, which is 3 copies of Lost World, 1 copy of Terraforming, 3 Fossil Dig, and then double Evolution Pill. I don't really think I need to explain any of these that much. Double Evolution Pill, you banish a Dino and a non-Dino and summon UCT from your deck or Prankertops, depending, of course, on your hand. If you already have UCT, you just summon Prankertops because you're able to summon UCT by his own effect. Then you have Fossil Dig, which search for you level 6 or lower Dinos, which is absolutely insane. And then we have Lost World, which is a great card for going second and for grinding, and for the fact that it's another extender because it's allowing you to giving yourself a token, or should I say to your opponent a token, that you can destroy with your Soul Eating Oviraptor for searches, or you can destroy with your Scrap Wyvern after you use your own effects to not destroy one of your own monsters, which is really, really awesome. It's allowing some very, very cool things. So this card also reduces your opponent monsters by 500 attack and defense, and also protect your dinos, so that's really, really good. I like this card. This card is great. And it's also very annoying for a lot of people to deal with. So that does it for those, and then for the additional spells, Harpy Feather Duster, Monster Reborn, Cold Better Grave. Like I said, I don't have the money for Prosperity. I'm not going to spend money for Prosperity for the TCG because it's super expensive, and I don't really think I need that. Also, to mention the fact I'm running Harpy Feather Duster because I'm not really sure how effective Skill Drain is going to be in the format, but I'm still a little bit too afraid of it to not run any back row at all, so that's why I run this. Monster Reborn is just Monster Reborn. If I see Skill Drain is too much of a problem, I'll probably switch this for a Twin Twister to have an additional back row removal, and then Cold Better Grave just to prevent my opponent from stopping me is actually really, really important. And then for the only trap and the last card in the deck, you know me, I like to run Infinite Impermanence. I really do. If you want to cut something out for Prosperity, you can run 3 hand traps from your deck or any other free cards that you want to. For Prosperity, like I mentioned, you can cut Scrap Raptor and then 2 hand traps, and that's fine. But I specifically wanted these because of reasons. Now, I'm going to say Infinite Permanence is a great hand trap. I still think it's one of the best hand traps in the entire game, and it's allowing you also to deal with your opponent's Scythe, so that's also another reason why I like this card a lot. But that's pretty much does it for the main deck. 40 cards, nothing more. Now we'll move on to the extra deck, and for the extra deck, we're going to start things off with the 2 Synchros, Savage and Omega. Not really need to explain these too much. Omega is here to swap a card out of your opponent's hand and to return Miscellaneous Source to the graveyard, as I discussed before, because sometimes you don't have a follow-up, so you need the Miscellaneous Source back in the graveyard for the follow-up, so you just make part of your combo the Omega and put the Miscellaneous Source back in the grave. The second the card that you want to go into when you come to Synchros is Savage, because Savage is Savage and is just a great interruption by himself. And then for the Xyz we have 5. For the Xyz we have the 1 copy of Dugaris, the 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, the 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, the 1 copy of Dolka, and the 1 copy of Lagia. These are the extra deck monsters that you want to run, in my opinion. Dugaris is allowing you for OTK. Abyss Dweller is just good against, grave decks, although I'm not 100% sure I want to leave that because of skill drain being around, which now is kind of making this card a little bit worse if you're using it going second, but it is what it is. Like, the card is great, but he does have a little bit worse applications going second, I guess. Then we have Tornado Dragon, which is great to help you to maybe combat sometimes skill drain, because if your opponent activates skill drain and then you activate this as a response, sometimes people do that for some reason, you're able to pop it, I guess, or just in general it's supposed to help you pop your own Scythe during the opponent's turn to then just lock them out of the extra deck for that turn. Then we have Dolka and Lagia, which are just really, really good. I think, like, in this format specifically, Lagia might be better because I think people will going to start running things like Lightning Storm a little bit more. So Lagia might be a little bit better to go into, but both options are legitly fine, and I like both of them very, very much. And then for the Link monsters, we have 8 of these. We have the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess and Boral Sword for rank 4s. We have Unicorn for rank, or should I say, Link 3s. We have Scrap Wyvern, Pentastag, Artifact Dagda for Link 2s. And then we have Secure Gardna and Linkaribo for Link 1s. Now, for Linkaribo specifically, and Secure Gardna is in order to help you get the Archosaur sometimes off the field. Like, you need to get the Archosaur engraved. That's actually really important. Secure Gardna is like if you have Archosaur and nothing else and you bricked, but you're still able to get the Evolution Pill. So you're able to get Linkaribo, and then you link into Secure Gardna, and you still have 2 monsters engraved, 1 Dino and 1 not, so you can banish them for the UCT directly from your deck. So that's really, really much the purpose of these 2, but sometimes you also just need to link the Archosaur regardless. Dagda is for the Artifact Scythe, Pentastag is for OTKs and pings, or should I say, like, piercings. Scrap Wyvern is Scrap Wyvern's part of the combo, Unicorn is Unicorn for spins, Boral Sword is for OTKs, and Appaloosa is part of the combo going first. But that does it for the main deck and does it for the deck profile as a whole. Hope you enjoyed for this one. Now I'm actually going to jump into the, well, like I said before, Master Duel applications, because I know that there's some people who want some different kind of stuff, and apparently in Master Duel there are some very, very big changes when it comes to Dinos. So let's jump right into those. Welcome to the combo section, and in the combo section I'm going to go with you with 3 combos that I think are very important for you to know starting playing this deck. Now, we're going to start with the standard combo, which is the Soul Eating Oviraptor and the Baby Ceratosaurus combo. However, I'm going to say right now that we're going to go through combos that are a little bit worse hands and what you can do with them, because this is the best hand of what you can do with the deck. So now let's get started. Starting things off, we're going to normal summon the Soul Eating Oviraptor and use his effect to add to our hand the Messalinosaurus. We're then going to use the Messalinosaurus effect in our hand. You could have also send this from the deck to grave with this effect, but I'd rather give my Dinos the protection. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to use this effect in grave, banish it, and special summon directly from our deck the Archosaur. Archosaur effect will now pop this, and we're going to get from our deck to our hand the Double Evolution Pill. And then the effect of Baby Ceratosaurus in grave will then trigger, because it was destroyed, to special summon another Baby Ceratosaurus from our deck. We're now going to use the effect of Soul Eating Oviraptor to pop this Baby Ceratosaurus to target the Baby Ceratosaurus in our graveyard, and that will allow us to once again use this card effect that was destroyed to special summon directly from our deck the Scrap Raptor. I don't know why I was going to say Soul Eating Oviraptor, but Scrap Raptor. Now, Scrap Raptor effect will pop this Baby Ceratosaurus, and we'll special summon from our deck the Petit Pteranodon. I don't know why it's flowed from my hand, but there we go. Petit Pteranodon. And now, what we're going to do, we're going to take these two, and we're going to link them off into Scrap Wyvern. Now, the reason why we also got Petit Pteranodon directly from our deck is because of the fact that you want this out of your deck when you're going second, because this will prevent you from battle, like I mentioned in the deck profile. Now, another thing I would say that technically you don't have to use the Scrap Wyvern Scrap Raptor effect at all here, but it's just a little bit better to do that just because, I guess. So you can just do that, get the babies out of your deck, and make your deck a little bit more consistent when you will draw better cards in a later turn. Now we're going to use the effect of Scrap Wyvern. We're going to special summon the Scrap Raptor, and then the Scrap Wyvern effect will pop the Scrap Raptor, which allow us to special summon from our deck another copy of Scrap Raptor and add to our hand the Scrap Chimera. And then we're going to use this effect to pop the Baby Ceratosaur, or should I say Petit Pteranodon finally, and special summon from our deck, not you, but you. Apparently I made the a little bit of like a mistake in the lineup of the combo. So you summon the Giant Rex directly from your deck. Now, because we have another normal summon, we're going to normal summon the Chimera. Chimera effect will special summon the Scrap Raptor. And now we're going to take the Giant Rex, the Chimera, and the Scrap Wyvern, link all three of these off into 3 material Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. This is basically a very, very nice, 3 interruptions and getting things off your field to also allowing you to synchro with these two off into, where is he? Savage. Because now Savage have a link monster in graveyard that he can target to basically equip to himself and give to himself 2 counters and 2 interruptions with it. So we're just going to give him 2 interruptions. Sure. I'm going to put those here. Now, we can use the double evolution pill. We're going to banish from our graveyard the Chimera, because it's the only one that we can banish, and specifically Giant Rex, to special summon from our deck, finally, the UCT, which I made a mistake to basically special summon first because I mistaken him for the Giant Rex in the pile. Yes, I know. Now we're going to use the effect of Giant Rex in the banished pile, or should I say banished zone, to special summon himself because it was banished, and then we can take these 2 and Exceed summon into Lagia, or you can even synchro summon into a Dolka, or you can even go into the Omega if you don't have a follow-up, so you can take a card out of your opponent's hand and put the Miscellaneousaurus back in grave for additional follow-up with the Soul-Eating Oviraptor. It's honestly up to you. I like specifically because of this format, because I'm not sure with the skill drain stuff and the fact that I think people will run more things like Lightning Storms to deal with those sad skill drains and stuff like that. I rather have another spell and trap negate, so I rather run the Lagia. So you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, well technically 6 interruptions with this combo. So that does it for combo number 1 and the standard combo for Dinos. Now let's move on into the second combo, which is the reason why you also need to run Scythe. So, for the second combo requires you to open up with Scrap Raptor plus Lost World. Now, this is the Scythe Law combo, as I mentioned before. This is a very, very important combo to know because, basically, it doesn't go the same routes that Soul Eating Oviraptor plus a baby go into. So, it's really, really important to essentially know how to go with this. So, let's get started. So, starting things off, we're going to activate Lost World, and we're going to normal summon the Scrap Raptor. And then we're going to use the effect of Lost World to give our opponent a token. We're just going to use this as the token. Now we're going to use Scrap Raptor effect to pop himself to basically add to our hand the Scrap Chimera. And then we're going to use the additional normal summon to normal summon the Scrap Chimera and get back the Scrap Raptor. Then we'll link these 2 off into Scrap Wyvern. And we're going to use Scrap Wyvern effect to special summon the Scrap Raptor back or the Chimera, it doesn't really matter. And then pop it again to special summon directly from our deck the second copy of Scrap Raptor. Next, we're going to attempt to destroy the token due to the effect of Scrap Wyvern, which can destroy any card on the field, so we'll try to destroy it. However, we're going to use Lost World effect to save it and pop a baby from our deck. Can be any baby, I just like to go with Petit Pteranodon going first, just to get this one off my deck. Because of the fact that it prevents me going to attack. And then, unless, of course, you guys think like you should pop Baby Ceratosaurus, and I would like to hear your comments why Baby Ceratosaurus is better to pop going first. I'm interested in that in the comments down below. But anyway, we're going to pop the Petit Pteranodon or the baby to special summon directly from our deck the Soul-Eating Oviraptor due to the effect, and then add to our hand the Miscellaneosaurus. We're then going to use Miscellaneosaurus effect, discard itself just to remember to do that, and then we're going to use Soul-Eating Oviraptor to pop finally the token to our opponent, because again, with the effect of Soul-Eating Oviraptor, for some weird reason we can do that, so we're going to pop our opponent token, and then we're going to special summon back from our graveyard the baby. Next up, we're going to use the effect of Miscellaneosaurus, banish it from our graveyard, and then special summon from our deck the Archosaur. Archosaur effect will pop this baby, and we're going to add to our hand the Double Evolution Pill, and that will allow me to special summon from deck the Giant Rex. Next, what we're going to do is actually very, very interesting. You're going to take these two, and we're going to link them off into Artifact Dagda. Then, you're going to take Giant Rex plus any of these. So I'm going to take this one, and we're going to go into Tornado Dragon. Now we're going to use the effect of Tornado Dragon by detaching Giant Rex specifically. You have to detach this one specifically and attempt to destroy our own Lost World, because it did serve its purpose, and I will explain why you want to do that. Now that will trigger Dagda's effect because an effect was triggered on the field, and we're going to set directly from our deck the Artifact Scythe. And now we're going to pop our own Lost World. Now the reason why I popped my own Lost World is because it's going to reduce regardless my monster's attack by 500 attack and defense. And yes, you could say to yourself like, well, that also hurt the opponent. But the reason why I want to do that is because with the additional of Double Evolution Pill, I am going to get the Giant Rex, and I'm going to go into 3 negates Appaloosa. So instead of just getting 2 negates Appaloosa, I can get 3 negates Appaloosa, which is a little bit better, I think, in my opinion. So you should probably try to do that. Of course, you can technically leave the Dagda and go into a Savage instead, but I feel 3 negate Appaloosa is a little bit more impactful. So now we're going to activate the Double Evolution Pill and banish the 2 normal targets that we should, which is Giant Rex and Chimera, and special summon the UCT from our deck, which then also triggered the effect of, Giant Rex to special summon itself because it was banished. And then we're going to take all these 3. This was also supposed to be sent to grave. And we're going to special summon Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, with 3 interruptions to our side of the field. So that is your end board. You got 3 negates Appaloosa, you got Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is basically a Book of Moon, and you got yourself Tornado Dragon, which is basically supposed to destroy this, which then will lock your opponent. I think overall is still a very, very decent board. But that does it for combo number 2. Let's move on into the final combo, which is combo number 3. Alright, so for our third and final combo, I'm going to show you a combination that is basically very good going second, but going first, well, you're not really able to do a whole lot of things with this. Going second, this can allow you to outgrind your opponent and do some really, really crazy stuff, but going first, this is probably one of your worst combos, but it's still very important to know so you are able to know how to get out of this situation. So, let's get started. Starting things off, we're going to activate Lost World, and then we're going to normal summon Soul-Eating Oviraptor, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Chainlink 2 will allow us to put a token to our opponent's side of the field, and then Chainlink 1 will allow us to add Miscellaneosaurus. We're then going to discard Miscellaneosaurus, and now we're going to use Soul-Eating Oviraptor effect. We're going to attempt to pop the token, but we're going to instead destroy a baby in our deck, which allow us to special summon from our deck another baby. Then we're going to use the effect of Miscellaneosaurus Engrave, banish itself, and special summon the Archosaur from our deck. Archosaur effect will pop this baby, and we'll add to our hand the Evolution Pill. And this baby will allow us to special summon directly from our deck the Scrap Raptor. Scrap Raptor will pop himself, and add to our hand the Scrap Chimera, which will also allow us to get the additional normal summon, which then will allow us to normal summon it and special summon the Scrap Raptor directly from our deck. We're then going to take the Archosaur and the Scrap Chimera and link into Scrap Wyvern. Scrap Wyvern effect will special summon the Chimera from our graveyard, and then we'll pop Chimera and special summon from our deck the second copy of Scrap Raptor, and now we're going to pop our second token because we can do that with Scrap Raptor effect, or just a Scrap Wyvern effect, because Scrap Wyvern effect says that we can pop any card on the field with his secondary effect, so we can do that. Now we're going to take one of these and this to link into Dagda, and now we're going to activate Double Evolution Pill, which will allow us to banish the Scrap Raptor and the Scrap Chimera. These two are pretty much the worst two cards in my graveyard. And now I'm going to special summon directly from my deck the UTC. However, that will trigger my Dagda to set the Scythe. And now I'm going to summon the UCT from my deck. Next, we're going to take these two off and link, or should I say Xyz, into Tornado Dragon and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, in this particular point, I'm going to say this right now, in this particular combo, there's really no reason to destroy my Lost World, because it will give me more advantage than my opponent, because I'm not getting an interruption with like an Appaloosa, like a bonus interruption with Appaloosa. So Lost World here, to stay on the field, that's freaking awesome. But in a combo like Appaloosa, like the second combo, I will destroy this card because that means that I'm getting 500 more attack, which means another interruption with Appaloosa, or at least like, 3 interruptions instead of 2 because of like, the reduction. In this particular case, it doesn't really matter. So during the opponent's turn, we'll detach the material and destroy this to destroy the Artifact Scythe, which will give us a lock, and we'll still have this. Now, I'm going to say this is probably one of the worst combos that you can do, but sometimes you have to go into those. So yeah, that is a very, very important combo to know. And that does it for the combo section, and now let's move on into the next deck choices. Alright, so for the next deck choices, we have 4 options right again, just like last time. This time is after the ban list, because for some reason for the Utopia, immediately after I stopped finishing editing for the videos, few hours later, we got the ban list, and because of that, I didn't prepare myself specifically for decks that I want to do for the ban list, because, the ban list changed a lot of things. So we're still going to have the 3 returning options from last deck profile, which are going to be Lunalights, Lyrilusk, and, or should I say, not Lunalights, Marincest, Lyrilusk, and I forgot the last one, right, Harpies. And the new option, which I spoiled it, is going to be Lunalights, because Lunalights is the 4th waifu deck that I want to do, and it's also got an additional, a card off the list, which is Lunalight Tiger, so I'm really, really looking forward to playing with that card, and essentially doing some really, really cool things. So yeah, these are the 4 options: Lunalights, Marincess, Lyrilusk, and Harpies. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you want to see first? But that does it for the video, and does it for the deck profile as a whole. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.